one of the things that they used to do, and I don't know if they still do, is the death row inmates would train animals to work as service dogs and police dogs, I think. So one of the greatest things that I think they can do to reduce the level of trauma and suicide from people who are leaving prison who feel hopeless is that in prison they can put animals into the cells of prisoners who are nonviolent, and maybe someday into the prison cells of violent inmates. And I think most people on death row wouldn't be there if it wasn't for something that they had done that was a violent crime. But there are people who are in prison who are innocent, that you have to realize that our justice system is not perfect. Neither is the penal system, and it should be less abusive due to the negative effects that it has on society and the families of prisoners. And I think one of the ways that this could also be expanded to help with reintegration and reformative sentencing, while still keeping somewhat of the current system, is that you could allow everyone in their cells to have an animal who is going to treat that animal respectfully. And having an emotional support animal in the cell with you, it reduces agitation, I would think, just like any emotional support animal. And they can also learn to train these animals so as to let those animals work as like service animals and things like that for police and firefighters and military vets and stuff. And so one of the other aspects of this that I think is really interesting is that you could one of the things you will notice about a lot of people who are homeless and the level of generosity that they have, which they're in survival mode and they're dealing with a lot of things that they shouldn't have to deal with. And the homeless population has a lot of people in it who have mental illness and who've been both in the service or police or firefighters. And so there are a lot of ex-cons. Well, they're not ex-cons, they're people, but those individuals should have access to animals on the street that they can take from prison, because a lot of them do end up homeless, and the animals that are trained to be psychiatric service animals, one of them, for instance, is a German Shepherd. German Shepherds are really good family dogs and stuff. They're very protective of their owners, from what I understand. I'm not a dog trainer or anything like that. So I'm not a professional. This is just my opinion. And so you could give these individuals animals when they leave prison, so that it could help them not only to have empathy in prison, but to have empathy outside of prison and to reintegrate into society. And it allows, I think, if more people who are like the family members of people who are in prison. So like if somebody has like a daughter or a son or something like that who's outside the prison and they have to visit them, one of the ways that these animals would help would be to kind of calm some of those meetings, reduce violence against guards. It could be used. One of the things that this might help is to reduce school shootings by increasing the level of emotional intelligence and empathy that a lot of at-risk kids have difficulty with. Emotional service animals should really be integrated into society. I know it sounds similar to a Pokemon movie with Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, I think he was in didn't he? I don't know. But anyways, that's a really good way, is that if you integrate a lot of these animals, that they need to be able to learn empathy as well. A lot of them, and a lot of animals can be extremely violent, and those animals need help. And it might reduce some of the violence in prisons without some of the level of cruelty that exists there, and so it might reduce some of the abuses between the guards and the prisoners. I think that if somebody gets a dishonorable discharge, obviously they've done something wrong, but everybody does need a second chance to some extent in society. And I know that that can be difficult because you don't have the support of the VA, the Veterans Administration, at the same level or at all, from what I understand. And so I think that those individuals should be given a service animal, an emotional support animal, when they leave. If you're going to be homeless, So not only that, and if somebody thinks of like a nonprofit where they could do that, that would be wonderful. But not only should it be there, but one of the service members in general, but one of the other aspects is I think it would help like in military prisons for like people who are, I don't know if they have those, but separate from regular prisons. But one of the aspects of that is I think it could help with negotiations and interrogations between individuals who are investigating terrorism and the individuals who commit terrorism, so that they can kind of learn to recuperate some of those emotional capacities. And it might help individuals who have sociopathy, but I think that's unlikely because they lack the emotional ability. But I think that there's potential to change that, and there's potential to help people with personality disorders. These are just some thoughts. Yeah.